So, all right, let's get started, everyone. Happy Monday, everybody. So, look, number one, let's just acknowledge how present and committed all of you have been. We've literally had 600 or more agents on every one of these sessions combined since we started. So, I see enthusiasm and action in the air. And, I like to meet commitment with additional commitment. So, we have been reviewing what you guys have shared in those sessions. And, I gave you my word that as a team and a company, that we'd continue improving the program as we went along. So, one of the things that we are going to start doing based on your feedback, the questions, and everything else is today, you'll see that we'll teach the concept of what the data sheet is, right? To be very clear, you don't have to do anything. The only thing you have to do is fill away your takeaways in the implementation session. And then tomorrow, we're going to show you actually how to use the data sheet and all the other semantics next to it. And, the goal always has been not to just give you more content, is to give you actionable things to use in your business. It's kind of that old world, new world philosophy, right? Old world is you guys trade time and money for information, then it's onerous on you to do it. And it's just this consistent thing of new and new and new and new. And in our world, our alignment, our success is your success in being able to implement what you learned. You could show up to every session, and if you're not able to take what you have here and do it in your business, I'll be the first one to say we failed. So as you guys keep filling out these goal sheets and everything like that, we'll be having additional surveys. We'll also be sending out something this week to ask you what have been your biggest wins and takeaways and immediate growths, because out of that, there are learnings that we can have that we can share with other people, and that we can continue enhancing the program. Because there's no reason when a lot of us are together for 6 months and a year that we can have this oblivious view that we have to wait all the way to the end to look back. It's like the difference between a great tax planner and accountant. Accountants look backwards, tax planners look ahead, right? They proactively plan versus reactively going backwards. So when we start talking about the data sheet, I think about this as a foundation to a house. Because in the end, if you don't know your numbers, you don't know your business. That's Marcus Lemon. And the way that I look at it is through doing this, you're going to be able to save money, make more money, and actually make your lives simpler. Because most people, if you don't know where you're going, you can end up anywhere. And in the thousands of coaching sessions I've done, I'm very curious as to how people make their decisions. Like, why'd you do that? How'd you do that? What even made you think about that? Right? And when we're able to dial this in, the simpler we can make this, the more beneficial it can be. So, Kate, can you pull up the deck?
Yes.
And can you guys spotlight Kate and I, please? Kate's my Vanna White.
Always.
All right.
There you go.
All right, so we could flip data and real estate. So we'll go to the first slide. So this is the conclusion. To simply learn about the importance of knowing where you're spending your time, getting leads, and compare that to how much money that is ultimately you make. That is the goal of today, right? It's to just understand the concept, right? So if you think about it's attention, retention, repetition, that's how we learn as adults. So today you just really want to pay attention, and like the mindset is just be curious. Like that is the mindset of going into today. Next slide. Tomorrow's goals, right, is to learn how to download your data, use your data sheet template to create the charts we'll review today. So like what does success look like is be curious and start to think. Tomorrow, what success looks like is actually getting it done.
I think that's in there again. There you go.
Yep. So now this is the conclusion that we've come to. The purpose of data and documenting information is to be able to make future decisions off of them. We're often told, track your numbers, know your business, put all this information in the CRM. But the question is, why am I doing it? What am I doing with the information? And ultimately, how do I get it done? Right? So if you want to write things down of like how to think through things effectively, it's why, what, how. That's how our brain processes information. Why am I doing this? What am I doing? And how do I implement it? Next slide. This is where the curiosity comes in. Where do I invest my time, money, and resources? How do you even choose that? What thought process do you use? Right? Because ultimately the goal is to align how you spend your time, money, and resources with what's working now. So I want everyone to take a moment and write down on a piece of paper, how do they make the decision of their time, money, and resources? What do they effectively do? Is it what your colleagues say? Is it what you feel in your gut? Do you base it on numbers? Do you find shiny pennies in the Inman articles that you're reading? Like, oh, I should try this and I should try this and I'm going to invest in this. Write that down for a second. And remember, our goal is to be curious. And I'm looking around for who's writing and not writing. Remember, mindset coaching is our ability to think through things differently than we presently do. Ooh, there's someone in Hawaii. Kristen, how are you? All right, Kate, next slide. So making decisions off of facts, not feelings. So here's like really what comes out of this. Understanding where your business comes from is really your client source, not a novel concept. Where all the money is understanding what percentage of your GCI comes from each source. Now, here's the real benefits of data-driven decisions. It's very easy to start cutting costs. I will save all of you money by doing this, because you could really around your budget around where your best ROI is based on reality versus hope. You know, one of the things that Kate had highlighted in the initial session is how many agents just keeps putting good money behind bad money, meaning something that they're spending money on in their business, hoping, okay, I'm going to get a deal and it's all going to add up. I'm hoping I'm going to get a deal, it's all going to add up. But if you're spending money on anything, you could track the direct ROI based on the time blocks. So if you're investing into Zillow leads and you're not readily available, you're not tracking your lead response time, you're not role playing, practicing scripts, your buyer presentation, objection handling, then you're really not going to maximize it. It's hope. Now, how do we increase revenue? Spend smart money to make money. When you know what's working now, you know how to go deep instead of wide. And by doing that, you're going to spend your time on your highest ROI for your business. Meaning, if you start cutting out all the areas that are not effective, you get time back into your day. Some you can invest into your personal life, some you can invest back into your business, some you can actually take a vacation, right? You know, true success is how many vacations you can take a year and not have to worry about your business, right? That's a successful business. When you can go away because you did the right things every day. The reasons that we all live the way we do is the choices that we make. Start making better choices, start implementing strategy and create repeatable procedures and make your decisions based on facts, not feelings, and everything changes quickly. So as we get into the month of February and everyone kind of needs January to kind of get in alignment, this is where the momentum starts. So we're going to show you guys how to make quick decisions, save money, and grow your business. Next slide. All right, Kate, so you want to break this down for everybody?
Sure. So this is going to be one of the charts that you guys it will automatically populate for you on your data sheet. This is one of them. This is going to be your client source chart. So this is going to be actually based off of how many transactions you did. So if you did 40, 50 transactions, each one of these percent is just not going to be based off of the price point, anything like that. That's going to be on our next slide over here. So this is one of our agents' businesses that they shared with us. So I'll walk you guys through it. You can see here. Online leads going through their website, about 3%. Let me move this over. Past clients was about 15, so 16%. Past clients referral was 22%. Zillow leads accounted for about like 15 to 16%. Farming, 12.5%. Compass referrals, 12.5%. Business networking group, like a BNI group, was about 10%. And then family and friends was about 10% as well. So I know we always get this question, difference between past client and past client referrals. Past clients are clients that you've bought and sold with you themselves. Past client referrals are when they actually go and refer out your name to their friends and family. So a lot of the things that we're going to look for here, if I was just looking at this, and Chirag, I'd love for you to give your take on it as well, is things that are scalable here. So things like family and friends, things like past people like past clients, those are a little bit harder to scale because those are just one group of people. But you try to look for family and friend referrals, past client referrals. Those are ones that you can actually go and build off of. It's hard to say if one of your past clients just bought a house last year, asking them to go and buy again or sell again. So, but you can try to leverage them in a different type of way.
So what I want to just go back is just take a step back. It's like, what is this data sheet, right? It literally in the simplicity is we're going to give you a sheet where you input, this is only for closed transactions, right? It's not for open leads and everything
In
else.
contract, no,
Because we
nothing
want to,
potential.
no, nothing potential. And really, you're going to enter in data, you're going to enter in the source. There's actually a place for like age demographics and everything. So you can really start understanding your business, right? Because when you start looking at this, it's like, look at this and you think of two things. You think about your schedule, like where do I spend my time? And ultimately your investments, right? Like I look at Compass referrals, we're at 12.5% of business. I'm like, that's great. Like that's something I could double down on. If my past clients and my past clients referrals equal about 36, almost 37.5% of my business, am I spending a third of my time even like cultivating these relationships? And then look at Zillow leads, 15%, right? So you could start to understand what is it happened this year only versus where do I need to spend time. Go to the next slide and I'll break this down. Now, here's the most important metric. Oh, we see Allison here from New York City. Good morning or good afternoon. So if you start looking at this, this is where we really need to focus. Now, look at that Zillow lead. Zillow equated for 15% of our business. So if you mentally be like, wow, this equates for 15% of my business, I need to spend more time on it. But you don't realize the price point's really low. It only equates to less than 4% of your income. Right now, other areas, family and friends, excuse me, no, let's go to farming.
Yeah.
Farming for this agent's business equated to 21.8%. So you're going to think, wow, I should spend more time in this. This equates almost a fifth of my income. Well, actually, what we learned in diving into the numbers that these were two isolated transactions that were just at a really high price point. Right. So these are things that you want to start thinking through as a business owner, because eventually you're going to want to start to draw the parallels, right, between how much that source makes up of your business, but the real number is how much of your income does it make? Because by doing this, this is how you can align your time, money, resources, and you can start really going through your budget. Because if I look at this agent's business now, past client referral, family, friends, right? That's PC, COI. Let's see, 25, 33, 33.7, and then another 6%, like almost 44% of this agent's business comes from people that they know. 44%. And then you throw in Compass referrals, you're at over 50%. So if over 50% of your business is coming from people that you know and agents at Compass, where do you think you should spend your time every day? This is actual strategy, right? Like this is planned and purposeful versus like, all right, I just have a bunch of stuff to do. Because if you're living in your inbox, you're living off of whatever leads are coming in and just running around and you feel like you're in a pinball machine being hit around all the time, it's because you're not really looking at your data. Because if you look at this information, everything you need to know down to your schedule, your spend, what you should do, how you should do it, can all be figured out. So as the coming weeks come by, we're going to break down part by part by part what you should do. Now, look, I said this in the beginning in using your implementation tracker, right? That thing that we have in the end that categorizes your takeaway, time blocking. Number one, the most important thing is to time block to do this. What we're going to do in the next 6 sessions, I would say, is not a would like, it's a must. It is an absolute must. Like it would be like if you did not know how to drive a car, you must be walking distance to a train if you have to get to the city every day for work because there's no public transportation. If you're an agent and you run a business, you must know how to do this because if not, you're going to lose money and you're going to lose time. And you're not really maximizing your potential. And what we find is our past clients, centers of influence, and our colleagues at Compass are a huge part of people's businesses. Right. And they're often like that best friend you have that does so much for you, that's always available, that some people tend to ignore and they don't realize how valuable they are until they're gone. Don't do that. You know that pit in the stomach you get when one of your clients buys with somebody else? It's the worst feeling in real estate. And all of it means is like, wow, if I knew this, Where am I focusing my gifting efforts? Who should I do events with, right? When we start adding in data with the lifetime value of a client and using that concept on how to focus your most valuable relationships, our goal is to make this the most simple schedule for you as possible. By doing this, like, look, if this was my personal business or I was coaching somebody, I'd say, great, do your 5-3-2s, contact 5 people you know every day, make 3 contacts compass agents, sends 2 handwritten notes, and do a quarterly event every year. And your business will just keep going, and send your best clients the best gifts, and set up coffees, lunches, and dinners. It's like, if you look at it in a lot of these markets, you're literally getting paid money to talk to people and hang out. Like, this is not like very burdensome, right? But it's understanding the foundation of your house. Kate, would you like? I know you want to add to this.
No, I think that's basically it. I think it's really just thinking about this, and people like to overdo it. This is supposed to be simplifying it. And I think we get asked a lot about this time blocking and where do I spend my time? And agents love to just say that they're busy, myself included. I've done it before, but you're kind of filling up your schedule with a bunch of stuff that you're not really sure kind of why you're doing it or what the reward is going to be out of it. So being able to go here, yes, it helps a lot with your spend, but it's also going to help a lot with that time. And what Chirag's saying is very important. If you can use this to kind of come up with your formula of how many hours you need to spend per week on each to reap X amount of reward from it, or whatever that part of it is towards your goal for that year, that's actually how you get some of your life back, because you don't need to say, oh, I didn't talk to these people, I didn't do that, because it's not really part of the plan. If you focus where your business is coming from and you start to double down on that, it makes everything much more enjoyable surrounding this business and your life.
So let's think about this, because I know someone's thinking here, and I could tell them, what happens if I want to add another lead source? That's great. So number one, here is the new business process. Number one, it's discovery. You really need to look into the lead source. What's the potential ROI? Understand what success looks like. If it's farming, you need to understand the turnover in the neighborhoods. And then after you're going through the discovery process, it's implementation, right? Like, how do I implement this? Are there campaigns? How long am I tracking? I mean, how long am I doing this for realistically to get an ROI? Then after that, it's measure what matters, like keep track of the important metrics. Then you make the proper adjustments and you automate it. And automation looks like every dollar I put in, I get 15 back. And then you understand it works, and then you move on. But when you add something new in, the first thing that you need to ask yourself is, where are my time blocks to supplement and do the things you need necessary? So we came up with these 3 questions when you're doing something, right? The first set, the am I, will I, have I, right? Am I currently putting the time in necessary to maximize what I'm investing in? Am I? And then the answer is yes or no. The next one is, have I, right? Am I, have I, or excuse me, am I? The next one is, can I? The next one is, can I invest the time, right? Some people's schedules don't allow for new things as things are going well. And the last one is, will I? Because ultimately, like, you could sign up to a gym, but if you hate going there, you never will go. And you should just work out at home, right? It's am I, can I, will I? So when we start looking at this is not about creating new, it's about maximizing on what's working and understanding. Because out of this, we can look at your schedules, we can look at your budgets, we can track the ROI on your things, we could show love, because I think in the 15,000 plus coaching sessions I've done, 80 to 90% of people's businesses here at Compass come from past clients and centers of influence. And if you're a new agent doing this, a couple of things I'd recommend. Number one, you want to start doing this even if you have like 2 deals. So it's a habit. Number 2, I would be trying to get to know, between the 2 groups, over 600 people in 28 different states, I believe. So if I were you, I would just start reaching out to people and setting up Zoom meetings, accountability groups, role plays, and get really active. And I would try to look for people strategically in different geographic areas. There's so many people in this community that have built relationships, exchanged referrals, and so on and so forth. Next slide, Kate. Now this is where it gets interesting. Visually, you can start looking at this, because when you put all the data into the sheet, it will automatically create these charts for you. And this is really just simplifying it, right? So now if we go to the next slide, this is where it gets interesting. So online leads were a little bit more. Family and friends were 9.4%, but only 5.9 of income. Maybe they're downsizing. It's a lower price point. B&I is kind of flat. Compass referrals are flat. Farming is 12.5%, but you can see the price point's higher because it equals 21% of their income. Past clients, it looks like they're upsizing. It's a little bit. Zillow leads, the price point's really low, so you want to look at the time you spend. And past client referrals is a little bit higher as well. So when I said be curious, the curiosity that I want you guys to think about now is like, what does your business look like? And ultimately start thinking about, what will I do with the information once I have it? Kate?
I agree with everything. I want to hire you as my coach. I'm sold.
You already have.
I'm good.
Look, in the end, it comes down to one thing. It's understanding how you can take information today and take action. I will go back to that fact over and over and over again, right? So if your goal of the session was to learn about data, make sure you align your goal and your takeaway with the time block and the action. So when you put your time block in, which I'm going to ask you all to do for an hour at the end of the week to make sure to start doing this, in the description in your Google Calendar, start writing like what you want to do or what prompts you have, because never will you be more aware of what you need than in this present moment when you're doing this. Next slide, Kate. So here's what you can do. Open your personal implementation tracker from last week and write down your takeaways from today's session. If you do not have the implementation tracker, go back to Monday's session from last week and download it. And I highly suggest you watch that session. It is, I would say, the most important session in this entire playbook, because it's literally teaching you how to organize, how to learn in a group program and implement as much as possible. Prioritizing, time blocking, all of that stuff is in there. So we'll give everyone a moment to do that. And when you think about takeaways, you want to look at your takeaways that if you reference your takeaway, your implementation sheet or implementation tracker, sorry, I have to get the name right. Implementation tracker a week, a month, a year from now, you would know exactly what to do because your takeaways were that clear. So everyone has 2 minutes now, or 3 minutes to write down what their takeaways were. And if you don't have the tracker, still write down your takeaways and then sit down and time block an hour to implement this. Remember, at the end of every session, you should have a time block for something all the time. That is the name of the game. Next slide, Kate.
I think that's it.
That's it. All right, so a quick recap here. Tomorrow, we'll be going through how to use the sheet. We'll pull it up, what it looks like. Kate will actually go into the part of business tracker where you could download your finances, and we'll really walk you through what this looks like. So we'll have like a live recording of it as well, and we'll show you how to use the sheet. And then next week, we'll start getting into, okay, now that I have these charts, what do I do next? Because there's a lot of different areas that we want you really to focus and build out. And this is the fundamental base, right? So if you think about the base that we have, there are two parts so far. There's the implementation tracker, right? How do I get the most out of coaching? Bless you. And the other part that says, how do I make business decisions based on data? And once you could understand this, and we could start looking at your schedule, we're going to go through the KPIs of money and understand your budget and everything else. So this is one of those things, you do it once, you have it, you own it, and you can keep making decisions off of it. And so we never asked the question of what was your goal from the session. So you guys want to just throw up that poll for everybody real quick? So if you guys should just answer this, what was your goal of today's session? It's kind of interesting to do this in the end, but if you guys can answer it, we always use your feedback to improve our session. So if anyone wants to take a minute to do that, it would be greatly appreciated. And look, like, as you guys do that, look, the market's changing. I hear about more highest and best offers again. And look, you guys weathered a storm, right? It was tough at the end of last year and going into this year. And ultimately, it's the work we do today that is going to have a long-term effect on what we do. And what I know is people that operate transactionally versus people that operate with strategy, strategy always wins. Because one person's playing for a finite game, which is just a clear winner and loser. The other people are playing for an infinite game. Because your business is something that's just going to keep going and going and going. And the bigger you can make your foundation, right? So it's like if you have a 10-foot tree and you want a 100-foot tree, you have to dig a 100-foot hole. By doing this, you're creating a very scalable base to your business where everything just becomes a numbers game. It's like numbers, time block, implementation. Numbers, time block, implementation. So as always, with love in my heart, I love you all. Thank you so much for being present. Again, Martha, inspiration every day, twice a day. So look, if you guys are sitting here wondering like what your business looks like, and you should be excited to look into these numbers, because the day you have these numbers is the day you become the CEO of your business, because the numbers will speak their own truths. And then it's exciting. We just go into the budget and start cutting money. And then all of a sudden you'll find a bunch of money and you'll be really excited. So I encourage people that are in a good fiscal position, if you cut a bunch of money, go on vacation. Go take some time off, go do something fun. It doesn't have to be an extravagant trip, even like a day trip somewhere where you just turn your phone off and just disconnect for a day. So that is my personal wish for all of you. So I will see you all soon. Kate will be covering her data sheet and some FAQs that we got in her next session. Kate, when's your next session?
Thursdays at 12, right, Martha? She knows everything about me.
Thursdays at 12. Thursdays at 12, Kate will have a session, which will be some different context to what we're talking about.
Yes.
And we will see you all soon. Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys. Have a good one.